We didn't even mess around. We went straight to the MAP gas and just put a bunch of heat into it. Hey, welcome back to the channel. Our herd has increased by 1. This was unexpected to a certain extent, but it is going to be helpful down the road. Jalen drug this home a couple weeks ago. What we have here is a 2000 Silverado, 3/4 ton, standard cab. I don't know, it was probably a long box, but now it's got the service bed on it. He bought this from a gentleman he works with for $500. It runs. The problem was when he bought it, previous owner ran the transfer case out of oil completely and then continued to drive it for another 3,000 or 4,000 years until it finally broke. We drug it home. I don't have video. We did find a transfer case. Now this is a 242C, I think is what it is, or 241C, sorry. Now for those, if you know, you know. If you don't, here's the deal. There's 2 variations of the 241C, and the difference is, well, you need, this is the manual shift because this is a work truck, so it still has the lever down there, and 5-speed manual, by the way, which is intriguing, 4-wheel drive. But 2 transfer cases for the manual shift. The electric doesn't work because it's not that fancy of a truck. If the truck came with a manual transmission, regardless of 1/2 ton, 3/4 ton, it came with a 32 spline input shaft into the transmission. Automatics have a 27. Ask me how I know, because you know, I pulled one out of a junkyard, and yeah, it was not the right one. I thought I had it narrowed down between 1/2 ton, 3/4 ton, but that's not the case. The brake is between manual and standard. So, but we did source one for a couple $100, got it sealed up, got that installed, so it's running and driving now. Then the next issue, Jalen changed the oil on it too, and we'll just pretend that he didn't leave that off. There we go. But it's got horrible exhaust leaks at the collectors on both manifolds. There is 1 broken bolt at the collector on each manifold, and that's what we're going to try to address today. A previous owner tried to put one of these hokey Vortex spacers in the throttle body, and we tried to kind of, this doesn't fit well, and then it's got a goofy aftermarket air cleaner, so this is going to get fixed back up to stock before too long. But for today's video, we've got some Chinesium exhaust manifolds. Here's the deal. If y'all have worked with broken off exhaust manifold studs and such, it ain't fun and it takes time. I got on the Rock Hard Auto, and we got, not only did we get exhaust manifolds for both sides, but we have gas, and we have new stud kits, and we have collector gaskets for less, about $100 for both sides. Time is money, and this is going to save me a bunch of time. So we're going to throw these on. Now these are the SKP made in China's, but they have the same exact part number as the Dorman. So I'm pretty sure it'd be like walking into the Irish parts store and just asking for a Dorman. But we're going to throw these on today. The first thing that's going to make us or break us on this little project, though, is on the driver's side. See back there, it does have a heat exchange tube. It goes up and pushes warm air into the intake, under the intake manifold, to help warm the intake. And it's got kind of a, they're kind of a compression fitting on it. You can see it It's right there. So we're going to get a wrench on that. If that fights us, then we're going to have a fight. But if it doesn't, the rest of these bolts should come out. I did PB blaster everything on both sides once. So even though everything's pretty crusty looking, we should be able to rattle most of these things loose. But yeah, that big fitting is going to take a wrench, and it's limited access, and well, all that other good stuff. So that's where we're going to start. And if we win that little battle, I think we're in for a pretty decent, you know, couple hours of work here. We got a win so far right out of the gate. It's all loosened up off of there down there. We didn't even mess around. We went straight to the MAP gas and just put a bunch of heat into it. We got it broke loose from the fitting on the manifold, and then it was stuck. It was also stuck to the tube. So the female fitting was wanting to twist that tube. So we put a bunch more heat actually on the tube and on the fitting, and eventually got it to break loose, and now it's spun off of there. So that is completely loose. We're going to go underneath now, and we've got 2 exhaust manifold nuts on each side. We're going to go ahead and rattle both those off, and then we'll come back up here. We PB'd all these exhaust manifold bolts up here again, and we're going to start taking them out, hopefully. We got updates. Manifolds are off, ladies and dudes. Nothing too extraordinary. They are, although, you know, the factory manifolds are pretty good quality. Again, we had a stud broken off on each side. The collector gaskets, that one's just gone. That one's squished really weirdly. We're missing part of the gasket on the passenger side. So yeah, it was time. Now these new manifolds seem to look okay. The casting's a little rough. We're gonna have to clean that port up just a little bit, but you know, they're all right for, I mean, you get what you pay for, right? Well, we do have one issue. This one's a little rougher casting. It just ain't great, but it's a work truck. But here's the gaskets that we got with them. And look how thin that slice of pie is between the end, that last port, and the hanger, and where it hangs on the stud. Same thing with the front. We are not trusting that. And then the same thing with the bolt holes. That oversized bolt holes in them here and here. So we ran to Irish and got a set of Phil-Pro exhaust manifold gaskets that are, you know, at least 2 or 3 times thicker in those areas. We're gonna clean these up a little bit. We'll clean up our gasket surfaces on the heads, and yeah, we're gonna go back in. So far so good. We had to use heat on all of the collector bolts. Well, no, one came off. The other 3 we had to use heat, and then the manifold bolts going into the head, they all came out, so that was a good thing. But we're gonna get stuff cleaned up and we'll go back together. Okay, more updates. Driver's side pretty much on. We don't have the collector bolted up yet. We're gonna do both sides, and then we'll have to pull that exhaust back a little bit and get it to line up, because, you know, they're both kind of together but separate. So far the biggest headache, putting the hot air exchange fitting back on. You know, the angles weren't quite the same, so we had to finagle that. But now that that's on, it's torqued to 25 foot-pounds. We're going on the passenger side, and there's more room over there, so hopefully it'll go better. And it doesn't have the hot air dang fitting either. All right, we are all in. Driver's side looking good, everything bolted up okay. Passenger side looking good. My one possible issue, we're going to start this up here in just a second, but this manifold came with a different exhaust donut gasket, and it didn't really collapse until I got those that the new nuts on the new studs all the way tight. I'm okay with that as long as it's not a leak. This side over here seemed to kind of collapse down, and then you still had, you know, some room for tightening as needed. But we are on. Let's put you guys somewhere and we'll give this a start. I'm so sure of myself, I'm not even taking it off the jack stands before I start it up here. But let's see how noisy this thing is. So the manifold exhaust leaks, they're nice. We're good to go up here. They were so loud though before that I didn't realize we've got another huge exhaust leak under here. Right there, between where the first catalytic converter is and the second one. There must be a big gasket right here. And it's just leaking like crazy out of there. You can see it spitting condensation. So we gotta find that gasket now and get that replaced. But up here, we're super happy, super quiet. Napa Valley had one on the stock. So now, I mean, this is the only thing it could be, but obviously the two holes in this gasket are different sizes, and I can't tell a size difference when I'm laying under there, but we're going to tear it apart. It is, you know, 3 bolts, hold it together. This got to be it. This is the only dorky exhaust gasket that isn't normal for this application. So let's crawl under there. There might be enough room. I might take you guys down there with me this time, but if we can get that fixed up, she'll be purring like, you know, a shop tiger. All right, I couldn't bring you down here for the actual wrenching because there just wasn't any rooms. Because I mean, okay, so here's where our gasket lives, and by the way, these 2 flanges inside here are one's smaller, one's bigger, so it just doesn't look like it from the outsides. But anyway, you got to pull the back half of this exhaust backwards, and to do that we had to take one hanger down way in the back, and then we have a ratchet strap from the muffler to the shock mount back there pulling, and we also had a jack stand, and we got a chunk of wood here that we don't need anymore because we're back together. And then we have the floor jack jacking up on the pry bar, because not only does it have to go back, but it's got to have a twist to it. We're going back together. We've got our holes lined up here. We've got new gasket in, old gasket scraped off. It looked like maybe there was remnants of maybe 2 or 3 on there, but we're in good shape. We're gonna go ahead. I hope I didn't permanently bend my good snap-on pry bar. I don't think I do. Those things are tough as nails. But we're gonna go ahead and let this slide forward so we can get some nuts on here, and then we got the hanger back on, and you know, we're about there. So we'll check in here in hopefully just a few minutes. Okay, well, I'm not totally convinced that those 2 flanges are flat enough that this little gasket, and it's a good gasket, but I'm just not convinced this is going to eliminate all the leak that was there, even though, I mean, we were missing huge chunks of gasket. But I'm going to run around, start this thing up. You guys listen, tell me if there's a big exhaust leak, or even a little exhaust leak. Here we go. Our flange. Oh no, we still got a leak right here. Darn it. Right through here. And look, this gasket. See? The gasket kind of wobbles. What we might end up doing is having to get like 2 gaskets and sandwich them in there. Because this is only held on by 1 bolt up here, 2 bolts here, and another one at the top. So there's a lot of places where it can, you know, move. Well, that stinks, but we know what we're doing. That's what we'll probably do, is order 2 or 3 of these, and then we'll pull this apart later. But it's a lot better than it was. It'll live for a little while until we can figure out a proper way to fix it. Yeah, this is next, by the way. We're doing hinge pins and roller pins on this thing next. So stay tuned if you want some tricks and tips and know-how on how to fix your, you know, late 90s 3/4 ton farm truck, shop truck, service truck, whatever you want to call it. Thanks for watching this one. The exhaust is tons better. We went from just blowing exhaust all over the place to really a fairly quiet ride, and we know what we got to do if we really need to seal it up. So appreciate everybody watching, subscribing, sharing our stuff. We will catch you on the next video.